Hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to use wxWidgets with VS Code. So the first thing we'll need to do is download the wxWidgets source code. We can download the source code from wxWidgets.org. And we just go to Downloads and download the source code. If you don't have VS Code installed in your system, you can download it from code.visualstudio.com. You'll also need to have CMake on your system, so we can download CMake from cmake.org. And just go to Download. And download CMake. I have the 32-bit version of CMake installed, but you can install whatever you like. We also need to have a compiler installed on our system. The compiler I'm going to use today is G++. So let's just open up a command prompt real quick. And we'll just want to type G++ -- version. If you get this error message, G++ is not recognized as an internal or external command, then you'll need to download G++. If you get the version information, then you're all set. We can download G++ from MinGW.org. And we just want to go to download/installer. And the download should start automatically. So we'll just click on install. And I don't want a desktop icon, so I'm going to uncheck that. And we'll want a basic MinGW installation. So we'll mark that for installation. And we also want the C++ compiler. So we'll mark that for installation as well. And then we need to go to the installation drop-down menu and select Apply Changes. We don't need the installer anymore, so let's get rid of it. And now we'll need to add G++ to the path environment variable. To do that, we'll need to go to the C drive. And we'll want to go to this MinGW folder, and then the bin folder. So let's grab this path. And then we'll go to the Start menu, and just start typing environment variables. And we'll just want to select this here. And then go to Environment Variables, Path, Edit, New, and paste in the path we just copied. Let's just double check and make sure that worked. So let's open up a command prompt. And we'll just type g++ -- version. If you see the version information like this, then you're all set. If you don't, you'll need to repeat those steps. Okay, now we'll need to use CMake to build wxWidgets. And we'll need to point this top text field at the source code folder. So we'll just need to grab this path and paste that in. And the bottom text field will point to the same place, except we'll add a subdirectory called CMake and another subdirectory called debug. This is where CMake will put all the files it generates. So now we can click configure. And the generator I'm going to use is the MinGW makefiles generator. Click finish. And now you just want to make sure that the advanced checkbox is checked and the group checkbox is checked. Now, since we're on the debug build, we'll want to make sure that CMake build type is set to debug. And under the wx build drop-down menu, we just want to make sure that the wx build shared checkbox is checked. And it is, so we can go ahead and click configure. And generate. And we need to do the same thing for the release build. So we'll change this to release. And we'll click configure again. We can use the same generator as before. So go ahead and click finish. Okay, since we're on the release build, we want to make sure that CMake build type is set to release. And we'll just make sure that the wx build shared checkbox is checked. That's good, so let's configure and generate. Okay. Now we need to go into the CMake folder. And we'll go into the debug folder. And at the top, we're going to type cmd. And when the command prompt opens, we're going to type the command mingw32-make. And we'll just let that run. And we're going to do the same thing for the release folder. So we'll go to release. And type cmd. And we'll use the same command, mingw32-make. Okay, now we just got to let this run. It'll take about 30 minutes to build. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll see you when it's done. Okay everybody, now that wxWidgets has finished compiling, we need to install it. To do that we need admin privileges. So let's close these windows and we'll reopen the command prompt with admin privileges. So this right here is the path to the command prompt. We don't want that, so delete that. And then reopen it, and we should have the path to the release folder this time. Copy that. And in the command prompt, we'll use the cd command, and then paste in the path. Okay, now to install wxWidgets, we're going to type the command MinGW32-make install. And we need to do the same thing for the debug directory. So we'll just cd into the debug directory. And then we'll use the same command as before, MinGW32-make install. Alright, let's close out these windows. And we need to create our project folder. So I'm going to create a folder called wxTest. And inside that folder, we'll need a build folder. And we'll need an include folder for our .h files. And we'll also need an src folder for our .cpp files. Inside our src folder, we're going to create a file called main.cpp. And inside the build folder, we're going to create two more folders, a release folder and a debug folder. Okay, now we need to open up VS Code. So just go to the Start menu and start typing VS Code. We need to install the C++ extension. So go to the extension menu, which is right here, and just type C++. You want the C++ extension built by Microsoft, and just go ahead and install that. And it's a good idea to turn autosave on. So go to the File menu, and then just go to Autosave, and just select that. Okay. Now that that's done, we have to point VS Code at our project folder. So we need to go to the Explorer menu, and then go to Open Folder, and then we just select our project folder. Okay, so we need some code for main.cpp. So let's go back to the wxWidgets website, which was wxWidgets.org. And then we'll go to the Hello World example. And just copy this code. Now we need to configure our compiler. So go to the Terminal drop-down menu and select Configure Default Build Task. And we're using the G++ compiler, so we want to select that. Okay, so right here where it says Label, I want to change this to Debug. This -G flag just tells the compiler to compile our project with debugging symbols. So since we're on the debug build, that's fine. Here we need to list all of the .cpp files we want to compile. Right now we're using the file variable, which will expand to whatever file was selected when we built our project. That's usually going to be main.cpp. That's not actually what we want in this case. So let's change this to the workspace folder variable. Now the workspace folder variable is going to point at our project folder. And then from there we want to go into the src directory. And then we'll use a wildcard to grab all the .cpp files in the src directory. So this will list all the .cpp files in the src directory. The -O flag just tells the compiler that what follows is the name of the executable. This variable, the file dir name variable, just points to the directory of whatever file was selected when we built the project, which is usually going to be main.cpp. So that's going to point to our src directory, because that's where main.cpp is. The file base name no extension variable just expands to the name of the file that was selected when we built our project, minus the extension. So this line of code here will create an executable called main inside the src directory. That's not actually what I want. What I want to do is I want to have the executable created in the debug directory. So we'll change this from file dir name to workspace folder, and then we'll point it at the build directory, and then the debug directory. We're going to need a comma at the end. And now we need to tell the compiler where to look for our .h files. That's going to be in the include directory we created earlier. So to do that, we'll need the capital I flag. And we'll use this workspace folder variable again. And we'll just point that at the include directory. We need to tell the compiler where to look for the wxWidgets include directories. So we'll need another capital I flag. And now let's go to the wxWidgets installation directory, which is on the C drive. Okay, so let's grab this. And we'll paste that in. And don't forget to fix the backslashes. You want to have double backslashes. Now don't forget, if you go in the lib directory, and then the gcc_dll directory, and then you go into either of these folders here, and then the wx folder, you're going to find a setup.h file. The compiler needs to know where that setup.h file is as well. So inside this mswud directory, which is the debug version, we want to grab this path. And we want to add that path as an include directory. So we'll need another capital I flag. And then paste in the path. We also need to tell our compiler where to look for the wxWidgets binaries. We do that with the capital L flag. And the directory we want is the gcc_dll directory. So let's grab that. And paste that in. We still need to tell the compiler which libraries we actually want to link against. We do that with the lowercase l flag. When you're using wxWidgets, you're typically going to link against the core and the base libraries. So let's do a search for core. Okay, you'll notice we have two versions of the core library. We have the debug version, which is right here, and the release version. Just remember that the debug version of the library has a D in the name. So we'll just copy this name, and we'll paste that in. We need to get rid of the lib at the beginning of the name though. Now while we have this open, we'll want to copy these DLL files into the correct directory. So open up your project folder, go to build, and we'll want to copy the debug version of the DLL file into the debug directory and the release version into the release directory. Okay, now we need to do the same thing for the base library. So here is the debug version of the library, and this is the release version. And don't forget a comma at the end. And now we need to just copy the DLL files. All right, we can get rid of this. Now, if I did that right, it should compile. So let's try that. Make sure to select the main.cpp file, and then go to the terminal drop-down menu, and select Run Build Task. So if we look inside the debug folder, we should see a main.exe file. And if we click on that, it should run. Okay? You'll notice we're getting an error right here. The reason for that is because we haven't set up IntelliSense yet. So let's do that. You'll need to hit the keyboard combination Control-Shift-P. That should give you this drop-down list. And we want to go to C++, Edit Configurations UI. Okay. So the default compiler is Visual Studio. I need to change that to G++. Okay. And again, we need to change this to G++. I'm using the 32-bit version, so I'll select that. This is where we tell IntelliSense where to look for the .h files. And you'll notice this little / ** at the end. That tells IntelliSense to search recursively. So I'm going to point this at the include folder. And we also have to list the wxWidgets include directories. We'll have to go back to the C drive, program files x86, we just go to the include directory, and we'll just copy this. So we'll just want to add the / ** at the beginning and fix our backslashes. Since the lib directory contains the setup.h file, we'll have to add the lib directory as well. So grab this, paste it in, / **, and fix the backslashes. And I think that's it. You notice here the errors have gone away. And of course it's going to make a liar out of me. I spent a few minutes debugging, which I'm going to cut out so I don't bore you guys. But there doesn't seem to be anything wrong. I guess IntelliSense is just a little bit glitchy. So we're going to continue and see what happens. Since we created the include directory, we should probably use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up this code into a couple of different files. So we'll create a file called myframe.h inside the include directory. And in the src directory, we'll create a file called myframe.cpp. And we'll just grab this class myFrame. So we'll cut everything all the way down to the enum. And then we'll just paste that into myframe.h. We also want a copy of the wxWidgets includes. And we'll just paste that in. Now inside main.cpp, we'll need to include myFrame.h. And now we'll just want to move the myFrame implementation into the myFrame.cpp file. And we'll need to go back to the myFrame.h file, and we'll need to add include guards. Okay. Now if I did that right, it should compile. And it did. Everything still works. That's all you need to do to set up the debug build, but we also want a release build. So let's go back to the task.json file. And we're going to copy the debug build task. We'll need to add a comma and then paste it in. And we want to change the label from debug to release. And since this is the release build, we don't need debugging symbols. So we can go ahead and get rid of the -g flag. And we'll want to change debug to release. And right here, we want to change MSWUD to MSWU. So just delete the D. And right here, we'll need to delete the D. And the same thing here. And I think that'll do it. So we just need to select main.cpp again, go to terminal, run build task. And now we should have two options, debug and release. So let's go ahead and build release. Okay, so if I did that right, if we go into the build folder and then the release folder, we should see a main.exe file. All right. And there's just one more thing. If you want to run your project from inside VS Code, you can do that. Just go to Terminal, New Terminal. This will open a PowerShell that's pointed at the project folder. And from here we can just cd into the build directory. And then we can cd into either the debug or release directory. And from here we can run our executable. So /main.exe. And there you go. Alright everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.